It's time for you guys to start being journalists.
Before an angry Andrew Baldwin left the courthouse, 13 News overheard him speaking to Richard Allen's wife, saying, "It ain't over. The world's watching. The world sees what's going on."
Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning, the 2nd of November, and we're going to continue coverage of the Delphi case again today. But if you're sick of the Delphi case, then look out for a video coming later over on my other channel, Michelle Walks, where we are going to talk about Alec Murdoch and Judge Newman. We all love Judge Newman, come on. Well, it seems that maybe Alec's attorneys don't. However, let's concentrate on the Delphi case. It seems that battle lines are drawing somewhat in this very controversial disqualification of Richard Allen's attorneys, Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie. And I'm using battle lines in a very conservative sense. There isn't literal battles going on in the streets. There isn't civil war breaking out or anything like that. Just like the various news channels, mainstream media, social media, and you guys who comment on that stuff. It's very divided. Very divided. Good old Jennifer Coffendaffer, you know, the ex-FBI agent who does the rounds on, Court TV and WFLA and those kind of places. She's done a poll. She's done a poll on Twitter, so we're going to look at that at the end. I'm also going to do a poll for you guys, my viewers, over on my community wall later on, so look out for that. See if Jennifer's results from her viewership and my results from my viewership match. I don't know, just a bit of interest, I'm curious. But let's talk about some things that have been said, and I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay, so the Murder Sheet. I've put out a podcast about this issue. They were in court on the 31st of October when the disqualification happened, with no hearing. Listen, this is the important thing, as I keep telling you, due process. If there was actual due process and the disqualification had happened with evidence, with Judge Francis Gull presenting the evidence about what they'd actually done wrong, rather than it being all hush-hush in chambers without even the company of Richard Allen himself, the guy whose very life is at stake in all of this. Doesn't matter, as I keep saying, whether you believe he's guilty or innocent at this stage. That's not the issue. The issue is things being done properly, transparent, all out in the open. The presentation of evidence, but on both sides, right? What evidence does the judge have? What evidence do Richard Allen's attorneys have? What can I say? Anyway, this Murder Sheet podcast, and then Kevin and Anya's appearance on Court TV with Vinnie Politan. I think we're learning exactly what side they're on. And anytime I mention the Murder Sheet, it's controversial in my comments. Some of you guys love them. Some of you guys really dislike them. I don't listen to every one of their podcasts. I dip in when I think there's something interesting going on. And if you're going to come in my comments and tell me that I don't understand the Delphi case unless I listen to every single one of the Murder Sheets podcast, well, Yeah, I'll listen to what I want. All right. So I'm going to play you a few seconds of the Murder Sheet's latest podcast. You can get this on any kind of mainstream podcast platform. They also put their podcasts on YouTube, but they don't put them on kind of straight away. All right, let's take a listen at this.
And one other thing worth noting is that once Andrew Baldwin's, for lack of a better word, his lack of control over discovery materials became an issue in this case, he became represented in this case by David Hennessy, Mr. Murder, a prominent criminal defense attorney in the Indianapolis area who we've interviewed on our show. And I want to talk about Mr. Hennessy now because the public is allowed into the courtroom at 8 o'clock. I think about a half hour or so later, David Hennessy comes in and he sits in the general audience section and he begins having a very loud conversation with someone. And some of the things he said were interesting. We overheard pretty much everything he said.
I think maybe our side of the courtroom overheard him.
Yeah, he was talking really loudly, and I was frankly a little surprised. As I'm sure many of you do, I follow politics, and there's something called oppo research. And basically, oppo research is when a candidate or someone working with a candidate researches the opposition, researches the other candidates, and tries to find things about them that are negative that their candidate can use to win the election. And so I say that because basically it appeared to us that the loud things that David Hennessy were saying were essentially oppo research points regarding new attorneys on this case, Robert Scremin and William Librato.
David Hennessy must have a loud voice like me, right? If I'm out and I'm talking, people tell me to keep my voice down because I can be overheard. Well, it seems that Anya and Kevin were earwigging into David Hennessy's conversation. This was well before court was in session. He wasn't talking loudly in the court itself as court was in session. No, this was beforehand. David Hennessy, Andrew Baldwin's lawyer, has been some doing research on Robert Scremin and William Librato, as have I, right? And we know just by a cursory glance of stuff on the internet that William Librato specifically doesn't have a very good reputation. And nevertheless, his chief public defender in Allen County and a friend of Judge Francis Gull on Facebook, they're not just friends. She comments on his post. Oh, what beautiful children you have. Oh, how lovely. She's also a friend of his wife. What's wrong with David Hennessy doing some research on these new people? Why shouldn't he? He just maybe needs to keep his voice down a little bit. But I think I can see exactly what side the Murder Sheet are going to come down on. Interesting that they were like right in the thick of it when this leak happened. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. But they were on Court TV as well. This is from 17 hours ago as I record this. So this is with Vinnie Politan. Going to play you a minute or so of this. Actually, not very much of this. But yeah, this is Anya and Kevin on Court TV.
I think it's worth noting that what happened today was not just the result of the leak of the crime scene photos. At one point, Judge Gull asked Prosecutor McClelland, "What do you think about all of this?"
Say what? I said say what in yesterday's video because I find this highly irregular, but I didn't go into it really. So a judge who is the arbiter between the two sides in any criminal case, any case, Not just this case, any case. When I was a jury member on a murder trial here in the UK back in 2020, the judge said to us that he is the judge of the law, but we, the jury, are the judge of the facts. But the judge of the law doesn't mean to say that that judge can lord it over the court without applying the laws of her own office. So, in their case, Indiana state law and the US Constitution. She can't become the dictator. She's got to follow the law, just as she arbitrates on either side, prosecution, defence, following the law, so that the defendant gets a fair trial. Anything less than that is not a fair trial. But we've not gone to trial yet. So a jury can't make any decisions on, being the judges of the facts, because Richard Allen has not been afforded a trial when he wanted one with the attorneys of his choice. No. He's got to wait another year before there's even a chance of this getting to trial. How fair is that? No, it's not. But the thing is, Judge Francis Gull asked Slick Nick McClellan, the prosecutor, what he thinks about this situation in open court. She is the arbiter. She is the judge of the law, not asking the prosecutor's opinion in open court. What has it got to do with him? This sets a really dangerous precedent. That the prosecutor can decide whether a defendant can have a certain attorney or not. What? Anyway, I'll play a few more seconds.
And he started citing several things that the defense attorneys had done, which in his mind constituted gross negligence. He referred to an earlier leak that took place in December of 2022. He referred to the fact that in his judgment, these defense attorneys had prepared filings which included erroneous statements or lies. He referred to that Frank's memorandum, which he says was all about arguing theory instead of stating the facts of the case, which would lead to help Judge Gull determine whether or not to hold a Frank's hearing.
We know from the documentation that's come out what kind of things Judge Francis Gull constitutes gross negligence. Nick McClellan, Slick Nick, I think perhaps is pulling Francis Gull's strings. But, very clear what side the murder sheet are on. Okay, so new court documents have come out. All right, this is from Andrew Baldwin's loudmouthed attorney, David R. Hennessy, that, a branch of the media is now going to try and slur. Attorney for Andrew J. Baldwin and supplements the record made in open court on October 31st as follows. In addition to the witnesses referenced in open court, undersigned would offer into evidence the performance guidelines of the Indiana Public Defender Council and the applicable guidelines from the National Legal Aid and Defenders Association, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, and the American Bar Association. He would also offer the affidavit of Mr. Mitch Westerman. Said Mr. Baldwin had absolutely no knowledge of any leaks. Now, this affidavit by Mitch Westerman, has anybody seen it? No, because that was sealed by Judge Francis Gull before even the most eagle-eyed person on the internet had been able to grab it. I would very much like to see that affidavit by Mitch Westerman. So if anybody's got it, if anybody's seen it anywhere, let me have it. I need it. I want to see what Mitch Westerman has to say because Mitch Westerman, friend of Andrew Baldwin, worked with him in his office for 7 years. A trusted friend betrayed him, stole photos. You know, it's stealing, isn't it? If you go into someone's office and start, you know, taking evidence from it, it doesn't matter whether it's photographs, but you're taking evidence out of that confined space. What redress is there against Mitch Westerman? And who put him up to it? Who? Who wanted these guys out? You gotta ask the questions. This is why I said yesterday, you've got to be open-minded about this. Why did Mitch Westerman do this? The witnesses referenced would have testified to their credentials, their knowledge of all applicable guidelines, and that, upon review of pleadings filed, the investigation performed and representation court hearings, attorneys Andrew J. Baldwin and Brad Rosie surpassed all applicable guidelines and rendered zealous and effective representation to Mr. Richard Allen. I don't doubt that. I think they have gone above and beyond what any public defender would do. They have risked their careers, their livelihoods, their practices, their reputation on this. And this is how they've been treated because, arguably, Slick Nick and perhaps some people who would like to see this case go on and on and on and on, demanded it. In my opinion, allegedly, etc., etc., witnesses would also have testified that continuity of counsel is always a crucial consideration, and any interruption of which would rarely, if ever, be in the best interest of the accused. There would also be testimony that an unnecessary continuous force by the judge would not be in the best interest of the accused. Exactly. This was due to go to trial. Jury selection was due to start on the 8th of January, and now at the very earliest, Richard Allen has to wait in Westville Correctional Facility with those Ordinance guards. But wherever he was housed, he has to wait another year for a trial that was due to start in January. There would also be testimony that a person that has never practiced criminal defence is not competent to judge the effectiveness and necessities and quality of criminal defence reputation, nor what representation is in best interests of the accused. And I don't agree with that last point, I don't think, but yeah, well, there you go. More documents. Now, there was some questioning of Carrie Wernicke on Twitter. She did clarify that this document was genuine. Now, I have seen some commentators reporting that this is the ruling of the Supreme Court of Indiana. It is not. It is the proposed order for the court's signature if it's granted. It hasn't been granted. The Supreme Court of Indiana has given the judge, and presumably Slick Nick, because, he does the job of the judge, seemingly, till November the 9th to respond, after which time a decision will be made. This is the proposed order of the things that they want to be unsealed or to be clearer. Must reinstate the following court records as publicly accessible documents. Okay, so September 18th, Frank's memorandum. October 25th, verified notice of continuing representation. Motion to disqualify. Precipice for transcript and motion for continuance. I would also like Mitch Westerman's affidavit, if you could. May not exclude from public access any court records without the requirements of the access to court records rules being satisfied. Included but not limited to, every court record excluded from public access must be accompanied by an ACR form identifying the specific rule and grounds upon which exclusion is based. Unless everything in court record can be properly excluded public access, a public access version and a non-public access version of the document must be filed. Must make the 118 documents on the zip drive publicly accessible on the CCS itself. Unlike what the murder sheet is saying, oh, we got them. Yeah, you got them. You got them on your Google Drive. You didn't get them on the court system with the dates and the titles. That's the point. Must make the court records reference in the June 28, 2023 order that remain excluded from public access by agreement available for public access 72 hours after of the writ issued unless requirements of Rule 6 are satisfied. Must make the June 20th filing by the Carroll County Sheriff and the July 5th, 2023 letter from the DOC inmate available for public access 72 hours after. I don't know what they refer to. So that's what they want the court to sign, not that it's already been signed. All right, finally, let's see what Jennifer Coffendaff has been up to. Do you believe Richard Allen should be able to retain attorneys Rosie and Baldwin? The judge ruled them removed from the case despite the fact they agreed to represent pro bono. Yes, Richard Allen should be able to decide who represents him, period. It's his life on the line. B, Judge Gull knows more than we do. We should trust her to pick Richard Allen's attorneys. Or C, Rosie and Baldwin should be removed because they are ultimately responsible for leaking crime scene photos and other protected information in the filings that was made public. So I'm going to put the poll up on later to see what my viewers think about that. And I don't often agree with Jennifer Coffendaff, but in this instance I do. Brian Kohberger is getting completely fair treatment. If you want to get behind someone who isn't, Richard Allen's defence team has been removed from the case. He is in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison. The judge, who has sided completely with the prosecution on almost every motion, has handpicked his appointed counsel, who I recently tweeted about. Not pretty. Well, don't speak too loudly about it, Jennifer, or else Murder Sheet will make a podcast about you. And look at Richard Allen compared to Brian Kohberger. Judge is being beyond fair, even allowing grooming, church and vegan diets. Look, go vegan. All right, guys, that's it for now. Watch out later for a short video on the latest in the Alec Murdoch saga. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you very soon in the next video. Bye, guys.